Hello there and welcome to the channel. In this video, we will be designing a registration and a login system in C#. Alright, before we get further in the video, let's get to have a sneak peek into what we will be designing. Alright, so let me go ahead and debug this one I have here. So when the application starts, so when it starts, you get to see the login page like so, and then you can trigger this register here button to switch to the registration form like so. All right, and you can equally go back to the login form. So when I go here and then let's say type a random username and then a random password and then hit on login, it is supposed to give a feedback as to whether it is correct or not, and based on that a decision is made. So here we are getting invalid details. All right, so let me try and then get something that is in the database. So the username Ernest and the password, let's say admin 1234, and let me just hit on login. We are getting invalid details. Let me see, admin 123. Let me try this one again. Okay, all right, so just to get rid of it, let me go ahead and register a new account. Say let's say James as the first name, James, and then let's say James Muna. Password, let's say 1234. Confirmation 1234. When I hit on register, accounts created successfully. Let me hit on OK, and we are taken back to the login page. So when I tap James, so anyway, the first name is your username, all right, and then the password 1234. Let me hit on login, and we are getting a successful message saying logged in successfully, and it brings us to what? The dashboard. Now this is under development. All right, so if you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section if you want me to create a complete video regarding this particular tutorial. Is that okay? All right, so let me just go back, and then supposing that I type a random something, random username and password, I'm expected to get invalid details. And then in a situation where I don't input any details to, I'm supposed to get username and password required. All right, so yes, that is basically what we'll be doing in this tutorial. So having that, let's get to do something. All right, good. So I'm going to close this project and then create one from the scratch like that. So I'm going to hit create new project, and then I'm interested in platform to be Windows, project type, I want it to be a desktop application, and what language am I expecting to use? I'm using C# here. So I'm going to select Windows Forms app into bracket .NET framework, this one here, and then I'll just hit next, and then let me give the name of the project. Let's say online voting system hyphen registration and logging. All right, so that can be the name of our project. Go ahead and give it any name you want. That is okay. Yes, let's leave the rest of the settings default and proceed. Create. So we are having a fresh and newly created project. Now I'm going to use a library called Guna. You see that, I mean, you saw in an earlier demonstration, the forms we had was looking slick and nicer than what you're currently seeing. Yeah, so I'm leveraging a library called Guna. I'll be leaving all those resources in the comment section, in the video description, so you can have them to yourself to be able to get exactly what we're doing here. All right, good. So let's say that this is our login form. Let's design it as such. So I'm going to go to the properties of this form here. All right, select it and then go to properties tab, and then I'm just going to change the name of this form here to FRM login. FRM login, like so. And then I'm changing the start position to the center of the screen so that whenever we start debugging the application, the form will be centered exactly in the middle of the screen. All right. Okay. What again do we need? So let's also say that the font size of this form, let's set it to default. Let's say 14. We want the size to be 14, so that any control we place on this form will assume the size of 14, and then we can further go ahead and customize it however we want it. All right. Yes. And then again, yes, I think this is okay. So let me go to my toolbox here and then search for ellipse. So this is Guna 2 ellipse. I'm just going to drag it onto this form here. Yeah, so if you're wondering how I'm able to get the Guna library into my toolbox, I have a video on that. Go through my playlist or let's say my videos and you get to see how I'm able to do that. I've titled that video, I think, how to integrate Guna UI framework into Visual Studio or something. Yeah, so check it out. I'll also be leaving, let's say, a card in the video. Check it at the top section somewhere there and you can hop onto that video and benefit from that. All right, good. So having dropped this Guna ellipse, I'm just going to select it, and then when it's selected, you're going to see properties associated like so. And one property I'm very interested in is the target control. Means that what control do we want this ellipse to affect? Now this ellipse is going to give it a round edge looking something, feel. So when I select it and then select FRM login, you see that it is now giving a sleek look towards this form here. You can increase the border radius to maybe like 20, and the more you increase it, you see that we're having a more rounded edges. I think this is cool. We can proceed from here. All right, so let me go ahead and drag the controls, the rest of the controls we need. So we need a label. What do we also need? I think we need text boxes. We are not using the normal text, but we are using Guna 2 text box like so. So we need text box. I think this is cool. We also need a button. So I'm going to use the Guna 2 gradient button. This one right here. Yes. Use the size a bit. Okay, so let me go ahead and have this label seated right on top of this text box, and then I can copy and then paste. Okay, so this is kind of behaving weird. Okay, so let me just copy the size of this one here to match the second one. So just drop the size in there and we're having the same size. So let me just make a copy of this label and name this label, rename the text property to, let's say, online voting system. And increase the font size a bit from 14 to, let's say, an 18, and we can say that this should have a bold field. Now what we need here, we need the person to input their username, and we also need them to input their password. All right. So I think that is pretty it. We need also a way to toggle the visibility of this password field. So let's look for a control called checkbox. I'm going to go for GUNA2 checkbox like so. All right. So let me just change the text property of this one to say show password. I think that is looking pretty okay. And then let me change the text property of this button to, let's say, login. Increase the font size a little to font size, font. Go to the font property section, and the font size here, let's say, I want this one to be like 14. All right. And get it to match with the other controls. Now let's have one label here. So let's say that this label, we want to use it to simulate the registration button. So let's say click here, or let's say register, let's say create account here. So whenever someone clicks on that, so let's say on the hover of this particular label, or let's say cursor, yes, cursor, let's change it to a hand like so. All right, so let's rename, give it an ID of LBL create account. This one will be BTN login. Let's say this one will be CHK show password. So these are variable names that we are assigning to the controls that we can make reference to in the backend code. Okay, this one will be txt username, and then txt password. Okay, now let me have one more label that I can use to say LBL exit. So this would just be less than symbol, and then let me increase the font size to perhaps 16. That is too huge, 16. And this will be bold. Let's change the fonts, the font color to something reddish. Not that exactly. Yes, so I think this is okay by me. All right. So yeah, basically this is what we're having. Let me quickly go ahead and implement the functionality for this exit button here. So double click on it, and this sends you to the backend code of this form. So I'll just say that application.exit. So whenever you click on that button or on that label, it exits the entire application. All right, good. Now what can we do again? Let's design the registration form. Okay, so let's go to project, and then select the first option, add Windows form, and we want this form to be FRM register. Okay, FRM register, and I'm just going to drag control code GUNA ellipse again to have that slick looking edges. Then send this one like a 15. Okay. All right, so I think this is okay. Let me go onto the login form and copy all these controls onto this, paste them. I think I should have done one thing, increase the font size of this font to 40. Yes, this is definitely distorting the font, but let's just resize it to what we prefer. Okay, so I think this is okay. Let me go ahead and paste what we copied from the other section. Oh, a lot of distortion in here. Get rid of this. Now this one will now be changed to login here. And now let's change the name of this label to LBL login. And then what can we basically do again? Let me look at the size of this button. Size of this button and copy same for these two controls. Okay, so I think this is not allowing us. Let me do it one after the other. Okay, it's not permitting me, so I'll basically have to use my visual gaze or something to. So let me just delete this, copy this one on. Okay, so gonna text box, gonna to text box like so. Let me just increase the size to something appreciable. I think this is okay. Let me increase the size of this button to match the other ones and change the text property to create account. All right, now let me center everything. I think this is okay, and have this one right here. It's having so much space. Now with the password, we need to have a way. Okay, so I think this is not allowing me. So what I'll basically do is drop them one after the other. So reduce the height of this one a little, and then we need to have first name, last name, first name, last name, and then confirm password. Okay, so let me just increase the height of these ones a little to match the ones you're having. Okay, copy the size for this one here. And then paste for this. I think I made a mistake. Same for this. And let me go ahead and adjust the height of this form a bit to create more room for the other controls, like so. Okay, so I think we've made progress. Let's change this one to, instead of username, I'm going to change it to first name. Change this one also to, so let's say last name. This one will be first name. Okay, first name. This will be password, and this will be confirm password. And then LBL login, LBL exit. So let's change the name or the IDs of these controls that we have. So go to the properties here and make sure you come to the name section and change this one to txt first name. Do likewise for the last name, txt. Okay, so I think txt last name, txt password, txt confirm password. When you're giving the IDs, you don't give a space, okay? It is going to flag you for that, so be mindful. And this one be BC and register or create account, something. Yes, so quickly let me just implement the logics for this one here. So double click on it and say that when that label is clicked, let's say new FRM login, and then let's say show, okay, like so, and then we can say this dot close. So when we show the login form, let's close the register form. This is basically what this part here means. Okay, let's go back, and then when you click on the login here too, that should also do the same thing, new FRM login, like so, dot show, and then we can say these dots close, like so. Exactly. Let's go back, and now we need to validate these controls, so that when the user clicks on this create account, we need to make sure all these fields are provided before we go ahead and create the users or the account for the respective users we have. So let me just go ahead and double click on this create account, and here we're going to perform a whole lot of logics. All right, so first of all, let's just say that we want to say string first name is equal to txt first name that's text txt first name. Oh, okay, so I think I made a mistake along the line. This one, yes, so it's supposed to be txt first name, like so, and then we can make reference to it in the code txt first name dot text dot trim. This trim is going to remove any white spaces. So supposing that the user started typing, and before he or she started, they triggered a space bar, this is going to create a space before, and maybe after that they hit the space bar again, it's going to create much more space after the input. So we need to trim it to remove those white spaces before and after the input. All right, yes, so let's do same for string last name, txt last name dot text dot string, let's say password, because it's txt password dot text dot string, like so, and then string confirm password is equal to txt confirm password the text dot string, like so. And we need to perform some logical validation. Say that if first name dot if first name equals to empty string, or last name equals to empty string, like so, or password equals to empty string, like so, or confirm password equals to empty string, then we can throw a message saying that message box to show all fields required, like so. Then we can return to prevent the rest of the code executed. Else, if let's say password does not equal to confirm password, then that way too we can say that message box dot show passwords do not match. Then we can also return from the script or code. Then what we can basically do is, if it is able to get past all these stages, then it means our basic validation that we need is okay. Now with a password, you can go ahead and do so many fancy stuffs. Perhaps specify the length of, the password, the characters you want in a password, and a whole much more, right? But I think let's just stick to the basic stuff for now. Like I said, if you like the video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comment section if you want me to create a complete video regarding this particular tutorial, because this is just going to be a starter something. Okay, all right. So if we are able to get past this, then we can go ahead and say else, and we can go ahead and perform registration logics. All right, now before we go ahead and do the registration, we need to set up our database and import some few libraries into our project before we can do that. I'm going to be using MySQL Database, so I'll be using XAMPP to be able to perform the database functionalities like that. So you can get XAMPP installed. If you don't have it, just look it up on Google, XAMPP, and install it on your computer. If you are using Mac, or let's say Macintosh operating system, there are tools that are compatible with such operating system as well. You can check them out, and the procedure is basically the same. All right, so let me just go here, and then let's say that I'm going to create a database called, let's say new. Let me just name the database OVS. All right, this is taking a bit long to load, so let me just name the database OVS. Hope you can see. All right, so just hit on create. So the database is created successfully. Now let's create one table called let's say users. All right, how many columns do we need? Basically, let's say 6 for now. Perhaps you might exhaust all of them or not even able to exhaust them. So I just type 6 for now and hit on create. Now we need a unique identifier, which is going to be an ID, and we want this to be auto increment. All right, so when I say auto increment, it makes sure that when one record is inserted, the next record is catered for by assigning a unique ID. So if the first one was having an ID of 1, the next record or input that is saved into the database is now regarded as 2, and it continues like that. You can specify the format you want and all that. Yes, but let's just stick to the simple stuffs in this video. So we also need a username field, which is going to be of the type varchar. The first one is supposed to be an integer. You can leave the length. By default, it is 11. Yeah. We want this to be, if username want to be like 150 characters. We also need a password. Let's say 255. The reason I'm using 255 and a varchar is that if we happen to say we want to hash the password, okay, the hashing algorithm we will use can exceed or maybe up to 255. So let's just make room for the maximum number available to be able to accommodate the hashing algorithm that we will implement. Perhaps we will do that in this video or perhaps in another video. All right, so that is that. And then we also need a column or a field for the first name. That is also going to be a varchar. And 100, no, let's say 150 is okay. 150. Also need last name, which is going to be 150. And perhaps let's add the date created, and this is going to be a timestamp like so. And you can go ahead and hit on save here. Save. It's processing it. Okay, so I think that is created. Our database name is what? OVS. All right, and we have one table in it called users. So having done this, let's just go back to our application and open the solution explorer. We are going to import a few libraries. I mean, this library is going to be able to help us write MySQL syntax to be able to talk to MySQL database. All right, so these are dynamic link libraries. I'm going to leave a link to download them in the description. Okay, check them out. So right click on the references here and then say add reference. And then supposing that you have them on your desktop, wherever on your computer, you just have to browse and then locate them. I have mine here already, so just select these two and then say that okay. You see that it will now be part of our references. Here's one and here's the other one. Now we can go ahead and import them by saying that using at the top here, using MySQL data, and then another one MySQL data MySQL client, like so. These are the basic stuff we need. Now that we've done this, let's have what we call a connection string. So it is basically going to allow us specify the username, the database, the password, and even the server on which our database is located. All right, so let's say string, let's say constring, meaning connection string, and this is going to be let's say server is equal to localhost So this localhost can be translated as 127.0.0.1 like so. All right, but let's just stick to the text version. Localhost, let's just say we also need ports. This is not compulsory, you can leave it out. So we also need database to be obvious, and let's say the user of this database is a root user and the password is equals to like so. You don't give it anything, just bring the equals and leave it like that, because currently my DBMS, which is a database management system, is not having any password protecting it. All right, yes, so you just have to leave it empty. Now the user means that what is the current user of the database you are trying to talk to. So the user in there is what? The root user. It can happen that yours is different. You check it out, you fix the exact thing over here. All right, so we have our connection string. Let's go ahead and do more interesting stuffs. All right, okay, so here let's just say try. I want to try and say that, let's give this exception handler that we can use to throw error messages. Say message box the show ex message like so. Okay, why error? Okay, you will come back to that. So let's say that we want to first of all create an instance of our connection. How do we do that? We are going to say that MySQL connection, not command, connection. Give it a name as maybe con is equal to new MySQL connection like so. MySQL connection, and this is going to take connection string. So the one we define at the top, we just pass it in like so, and we are good to go. All right, now we need to also say that using this connection, okay, using this connection, let's just open it. So con.open means that we need to more or less like perform a handshake. So when there's a handshake and then it is successful, we go ahead and establish a proper communication where we can go ahead and insert and pull records out of the database like that. So having opened the connection, what we do, let's define one more thing and say string query. We need to perform some query. What is the query going to do? Say insert into users. Insert into users. What fields do we want? We want the username, we want the password, we want their first name. Make sure however is spelled into the database is the same spelling you have in here. So we also need the last name like so. And then let's close this and say values to bracket. Now we are not going to pass the value straight like so. We're going to say that at uname, at password, at fname, which is first name, and then at lname like so. What am I doing wrong? So I said insert into users. Insert into users. These are the columns we want. Okay, so they're supposed to be it's not supposed to be here. This is also not supposed to be here. So we just have to have one at the ending like so, and we are good to go. Yes, so this is our query. Now with this query, we need to execute the query, right? So how do we do that? We're going to say that MySQL command. So give it a handler like cmd. Say it's equal to new MySQL command. Alright, like so. Now we need to pass in the various fields that we need to send. Right, these are parameters. These are not the actual values we are sending into the database or the actual input we receive from the user. So to be able to pass that along, how do we do that? We're going to say that cmd.parameters.add with value like so, and then we give it the parameter uname. Now we target what? The username. Did we define that? Let me check from the top here. Okay, so we are going to use the first name as the username, right? So let's say first name. First name. Okay, I think this is not scoped. This global, so you should be able to see them. So what is the problem? Okay, so there's supposed to be a comma, then I say first name. Yes, and then let's just convert it to lower, meaning make it small case throughout. Then let's do same for password. So at password, and then let's say that password like that. Let's do same for parameters that add with value. First name, so set f name, so f name, first name like so. Let's do likewise for the L name, which is the last name, right? Last name. I think we are pretty true. So let's define one variable called, let's say status equals to cmd dot execute non-query. So this is going to trigger this query. Okay, look for all the columns that we want to effect the change against the parameters that we have passed in here, and then it will execute. When it's executed, it is going to return a true or false value, or a 1 or 0, right? So we are grabbing that and assigning it to this status here. So what we can basically do here is check if the status is greater than 0. It means that something actually went. So we can say message box dot show account created successfully. Then we can say con.close like so, and then return. So before we return, let's just say new frm login like so dot show and then we can say this dot close. So what are we basically doing is saying that when account creation is successful, just go ahead and tell the person that account created successfully, close the connection that we are currently working with, and then create an instance of the login form and then show it, and then make sure you close the registration form, these dot close. and you can go ahead and return to prevent the rest of the script from executing. Now we have a problem here. Exception, say ex, and this ex7 message like so. So you can say dot to string to make it more readable. So dot to string. Okay, so that is rectified. I think we are basically through here. Yes, we are basically through here. So we will test it out, and then okay, I think we are missing out one thing. This query needs to be sent across, so we need this query here. So we need to pass the query inside this command and also pass the connection along. All right, yes, so that is that. That is basically that. Can we test it out? Can we test it out? So let's just start debugging this one and see the output. So whilst that is debugging, kindly like the video if it is worth watching, and also subscribe to the channel if you've not done that yet. Let me know in the comment section if you like my content and want to see more of them. Leave your feedback in the comment section. I will gladly appreciate that. All right, so here we are basically not going to see any functionality because we've not done anything here. But let's go to the registration page. So create account here. Let's trigger that. Okay, I think we've not implemented a logic for that, so let's just do that. So on the form, let's trigger this LBL. Let's see the name we've given. Okay, LBL. So trigger it, double click on it, and then say new FRM register, like so, the show, and then you can say this dots hide. So let's just hide the login form like that. Then we can go ahead and try it out again. Okay, that is debugging. Okay, so let's just trigger this, and this takes us to, okay, I don't like where this has been positioned. I don't like it at all. So when I hit on create account, we are getting all fields required. All right, so let's just input some few details. Let me say, I don't know why this is behaving like so anyway, but let's just test it. So let's say the name we want to input is first name, let's say Ernest. The font size are minute, so, and then sign name or your last name. The password, I just want it to be 1234. To confirm password, let's just say 12345, and then create account. We're getting passwords do not match, so let's just have them all match, and then hit create account. Account created successfully. All right, so we are having a positive feedback. So when we click on OK, we are now returned to the login page. All right, let's check from the database if indeed we have some record. So just go to browse here. So inside the users table, if we have record, it will now be shown. Okay, so we now have an ID of one, username, next password, first name and last name, and the timestamp that we implemented. All right, so let's do the logics for the login as well. How do we go about that? So let's go to the form one, or the login form, and then let's trigger this login button here. So when we do this, what we're going to do is, first of all, we need to say string username is equal to txt username.text. We need to grab and then trim whatever the user is inputting, and then we also have to say string password, the txt password dot text dot string. Now we need to check if username is equal to empty string. It means that the user didn't input anything, or let's say the password is also equal to empty. Then we can go ahead and prompt the user that indeed all fields are required. So username and password required. Then we can return. Else, if all those are met duly, what we can basically do is try, and then we process our logic cell. So let me give a handler, or let's say yes, a handler to this exception class, and then say message box. So this is going to tell us if there is any exception that was thrown. We can get it from this handler. So dot to string like so. Sure, we close it. Okay, so we need to do likewise for what we did in the registration form by saying using MySQL data, and then using MySQL data, that's MySQL client. Now you are able to do this after you have imported the references that we did. I mean, we included in a project. If you have not done that, you can do, I mean, you can include these namespaces. You can do that. All right, good. So make sure you have that. Let me quickly go to the registration form and then grab the connection string here, copy it, and then come back to our form here, and then I will just paste it like so. We have our connection string intact. So what can I do? I can just say that MySQL connection, give it an instance, and say equal to new MySQL connection. And then this is going to take the connection string that we defined like that. Now we can say that using con, okay, using con like so. We need to open the connection. So when we do that, we can now say MySQL data adapter, give it an instance adapter or ADA equals new MySQL data adapter, MySQL data adapter like so. Now this adapter is going to take a query. You can pass it straight in adapter, but I would prefer to have the query separately. So string query equals to select username, command password from the users table, from users, where the username equals to at uname and password equals to at password. Let me limit it by limit one. Okay, limit one. All right, so you can now pass in this query like so, and then it also takes the connection that we have Now, to be able to pass the parameters we have here to the adapter, these parameters, we need to implement something like so. Now, we do this parameter thing because of we want to basically prevent what we call SQL injection. That is beyond the scope of this video. You can read about it. SQL injection is something that as a developer you need to prevent it at all costs. All right, yes. Okay, so just going to say that ADA, all right, which is the adapter handler, that selects command. I'm going to select something from the database, select command, and then we say dot parameters dot add with value, like so. Then we pass in the uname, which is the handler, the parameter, and then we pass in what the username that is coming through, like so. And then we do same for the password. So select command dot parameters add with value, like so, and then say that password, and say password. I believe you know where these are coming from. We define them at the top here like that. These are okay. All right, now having done this, we need to have what we call a data table. Now a data table is more or less like a mechanism that represents a data in a form of rows and columns, right? So it mimics that of Excel and all that. And now this adapter is currently holding the data, but we need to have a structure where we can loop through to see if there is a matching record in the table or not. In that, we need to have a data table, like so, and then say table, continue, data table. Now, this data table is very if you want to make use of it, you need to make sure that you include the centers here. Okay, you include them, else it won't work. All right, now having done this, what we can basically do is, let's say the adapter that we have, the handler, there's a fill method on it called fill. There's a method on it called fill, which we can invoke and then pass a table in it, like so. So basically we are saying that, hey adapter, we have a table instance, just pick that table, and whatever data you are having, just fill that table with it for us. Then we can go ahead and now say that if table dot rows dot count is greater than 0, okay, it's greater than 0, then we can say message box, means there's actually a matching record, right? Message box dot show logged in successfully. Then what we can basically do is can say connection dot close, and then we can say return from the script. Then we'll come back to this part, and if it is not having any matching record, let's just say that, hey user, your details invalid details or invalid credential. Then we can close the connection and return from the script ASAP. Now we need to do one thing here. So after the user is logged in successfully, we need to redirect the person to perhaps a dashboard or something, right? So let's just add one form. Go to project, add form. Let's say FRM dashboard. Then hit on create, and this is what we're having. So let me just change the location of this, the start position of this form to the center of the screen. And let me just add one ellipse, ellipse. Select it and then change the target control to this FRM dashboard to give it that look and feel we want. Increase the border radius to something like 15. Is too much. And we can have some few controls like maybe button. So good night to gradients button. Okay, and a label, I guess. A label. And this label we can just have it like online voting system. Increase the font size a little to perhaps 15. Let's have something here like maybe cast vote, and increase the font size to 14. It's cool. And we go back to this and copy this here, this one here. Okay, and then come back to the dashboard and paste it. So whenever this is triggered, let's just say let's just say that when it's a new FRM logging show like so, and then this dot close like that, and this, yeah, we are not going to implement the functionality for the dashboard. So here let's assume that when a user logs in successfully, you're going to see a list of candidates with their images like that the user can select, and after selecting their preferred choices with respect to the positions they are standing for, go ahead and click on cast votes, and we can process it and save it in the database like that and proceed from there. So basically this is the dashboard that we have. Now inside the login form, we're trying to do something over there. So here, say that's new FRM dashboard like so dot show. Okay, and then this should we hide it? Let's just hide the login form. All right, let's just hide it. Just hide the login form. And that is pretty it. Now with this register form, let's change the start position to the center of the screen like so. Okay, now let's test everything. Hit on start. Let's just test everything. Okay, so remember that we had a username called next. This font size are minute, so you can increase the font size for these text boxes if you want to. All right, good. So the password to, I think I did it 1 2 3 4 something like that. Okay. So when I hit login, I'm getting a positive message, and I hit OK, I'm brought to the dashboard like that. So let me click on this to log me out. Let's do something for the password field here and this toggle button. So how do we do that? Let's come back, say that, select this one and say use system password character. It means that it's going to turn this field here into a password field. All right, good. Now in order to see what we are typing and all that, we need to implement the logics for this toggle button. So just double click on this one and say that if chk show password dot checked. Okay, when it is checked, it means that we want to show the password with type. So we can say that txt password dot use system password char is equal to false. All right, else txt password dot use system password char is equal to true. It's equal to true. Yes. So let's just try it once again. Okay, waiting for it to load. Okay, so this is what we have. So let's just say that a random username like that and a random password. Can toggle and see the visibility of what this password. So when we hit on login, let's get a wrong message, invalid details like that. Let's try and then create one more account and say this account should have James, and then let's say Bond, James Bond. Let's say his password is 12345 12345 like that, and create account. This successful. We come back, say James, and then we say 123456. This is wrong, right? Because James password was 12345, right? Hit login and we are here on the dashboard. Yes, so this is basically what we wanted to achieve in this video. There are lots and tons of things we can do. We can include a splash form where it's more or less like a preloader before we get to see even the login form, and a whole lot of other cool functionalities we can implement in this video. If you want me to go ahead and inculcate all those complexities, let me know in the comment section and like the video, just so it to motivate me to put in much effort to create amazing content for all of you. All right, I hope you like this one. Let me know your feedback or your thoughts in the comment section. The resources used in the video are going to be linked in the description. Check them out and you can try this cool tutorial at your own time. All right, until then, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in another video. Until then, stay blessed and keep coding, keep programming, keep building. Bye.